I'm Denise Galoni. I'd like to welcome you to today's episode of Empowering Women. I have two amazing guests on the show today. My first guest is Kim Gable, who's an Emmy and Telly Award-winning media personality, MC, and entrepreneur, and also Stephanie Scaletti, who's going to share her story. She's the founder of YACS, the Young Adult Cancer Support, and also the Director of Support Services for the Cancer Caring Center. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. My first guest today is an Emmy and Telly Award-winning media personality. She's a speaker, MC, producer, and entrepreneur. I'd like to welcome Kim Gable to the show. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Denise. So wonderful to be here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here.
Oh, and it's my hometown too, which
It
is
is
amazing.
your hometown.
Yeah.
The show is empowering women, and you're just so empowering with everything that you do. I mentioned some of the things that you do.
Thank you.
And you may look familiar to people that are watching you.
Yeah, I go to Giant Eagle and people are like, "Did I go to school with you? Did I?" So, and I'm only on TV a few days a week right now because, and we'll talk about that. But I'm sort of, transitioning a little bit right now, which so many women are. But yes, I am a news anchor reporter at KDKA TV. I work maybe 3 days a week right now, and I'm just blessed with this part-time scenario where I can pursue some other passions in my life and be a mom as well. But yeah, my background is in television news.
How did you get started?
So I've always had that sort of performance bug, and I think if you talk to people, especially here in our market at all three stations, a lot of them have a background in maybe theater or dance or singing, something on a stage or something performance oriented. I've been a dancer my whole life. I've done a little bit of singing in theater and things like that, and it was sort of a natural transition when you think about what you really want to do after when you grow up. So though I loved dance and loved theater, I sort of knew that probably wasn't the professional direction I was going to go in. I tried. I did. I auditioned in New York City for Cats back in the 90s.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I have little stories like that. But I went to college at West Liberty University in my hometown of Wheeling, West Virginia. Fantastic communications department there as well, as I'm looking around at all this beautiful stuff here. So, and I had a professor say, I needed a few other credits to graduate, and the professor actually said to me, "Why don't you anchor the newscast, our college newscast?" And I said, "Okay." And so I sat down at much like this, at a desk like this, and started anchoring, and it just came very, very natural to me because of that performance sort of background that I had. And I love doing what you're doing right now. I love talking to people, interviewing people, and telling stories. So a lot of times when people ask me, what I do, and I don't say I'm a reporter or a broadcaster or a journalist, I say I'm a storyteller.
Right.
And I've been telling people stories for 25 years now, so. Yeah.
And people may see you on KDKA, because that's what you're on right now.
That's what I'm doing right now.
I know sometimes you anchor, sometimes you're out in the field doing stories. What's your favorite?
So I love being sort of immersed in one topic and being able to tell that story and concentrating on whatever issue I'm doing that day. So I do love that aspect of it, but I do have to tell you, it's kind of nice to sit down in a very controlled environment like this and just sort of be the messenger for every news story of the day, because the news is a digest of what happened, and to take people sort of on that journey of important issues, enlightenment, awareness, and giving people the information that they need and being sort of the all-around messenger. I do love anchoring very much.
Is there a particular story you like to cover? I know we see so much negativity
I
in the
know.
news, and I'm all about positivity.
Me too. And that's the number one criticism that we get, I think, collectively as people in our industry.
As the media as a whole.
The media as a whole, especially now. I mean, we're in a very sort of divisive time. So there is negativity. However, and I tell people this all the time, and I've been doing this for years, even before that sort of culture shifted. Even when I'm doing something that's profoundly tragic or negative, I have always tried to find that little glimmer of hope, positivity.
Yes.
show the triumph of the human spirit. So even when I'm covering a fire, I'll find somebody who was involved in a rescue attempt, or who got the children out of the home. The train derailment.
Yes.
If we want to think about one of the big news stories that happened within the last couple of weeks, I focused on the woman who was working in the ticket booth who got everybody off of that platform and saved probably a dozen lives. So in the midst of all of this devastation and tragedy, there are glimpses and amazing stories of the human spirit and how people help one another. And Pittsburgh is one of those cities where you can really find that. You don't have to search too much. I mean, those stories are out there, and I think if people really, look and pay attention, and if we start focusing a little more on the positive, that it's there. It's there, definitely. So to answer your question, stories about the human spirit and triumph and helping one another. Definitely.
Kim, do those stories, I'm just curious, stick with you after a while? I mean, do you
They
go back
do,
and you think,
they do.
I wonder what happened to this person I interviewed a year ago?
Yeah, and I will be honest with you, I've cultivated friendships with people who I've done stories with and become friends with their family and gone to their events. And so, a lot of people think that we're desensitized to a certain degree, and you are.
Right.
I can't get on the air and cry.
Right.
I want to.
Oh,
and I'll cry afterwards, and I'll cry before. If you ask the cameramen that I work with, my photographers, who are absolutely amazing, they have to calm me down a lot because I get so emotional. I'm an empath, and I sense that in you too.
Yes.
Yeah, you have a very empathic soul, and so do I. And so you put an empath in our business and in TV news, and you're going to get a lot of emotions. And that's fine. I've learned to wrangle it, and I can get on the air and deliver a story. But I do love developing those friendships, and just being involved in something that helped a young girl get a lung that she needed to survive. Morgan Yoni, I'm still friends with her family. I helped most recently. I did a story on two brothers who were looking for long-lost twin sisters who were separated at birth, and they were amongst different families. We put that story on the air. They found their sisters like literally that day.
Oh my gosh.
So besides delivering the news and the awareness and the enlightenment, there are instances like that where you're able to actually help and facilitate reunions, get a person a life-saving lung. So when I think about that, that is very valuable to me, very important to me, and that's why I continue doing what I do.
Because we don't think about that. When we think of media, we don't think about that.
And I try, and I don't. So I try not to be, defensive in that regard. But I love telling people stories like that because it sort of gets them thinking. You know what? You're right. So when they watch the news or when they look at a reporter or watch a newscast, that they start seeing those things. That okay, you know what? You're right. It's not. You can't have that collective sense that everything on the news is negative and devastating. There are elements like that, but again, there are stories where journalists are able to make a difference in so many ways, and those are just a couple of them. Yeah. And my colleagues have done the same thing. And I'm sure if you were sitting here with anybody in our industry, they would have stories of personal meaning that they felt like they made a difference. And we're able to do that because we're out there and we're telling the stories or putting the stories on TV, and millions of people potentially are seeing it because now you have social media too.
You do.
Yeah. So it's not just your broadcast audience anymore. Those two stories I just told you about, the lung and the twin sisters, those were both facilitated by our social media platforms as well on KDKA. So we have to remember that we're reaching far more people than we used to.
Right.
Yeah.
I also mentioned you're an entrepreneur. You want to
Yes.
talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are born entrepreneurs. I think just that entrepreneurial spirit comes naturally to people, and I think a lot of people it's cultivated, and then some people it happens out of necessity. So it's a little bit of all three of those for me, but back in 2005, I came back from maternity leave at Fox 53. This was when Fox was autonomous at the time, and we had our own television station, wonderful, fantastic group of people. We had just bought a new house. Here in Bethel. Just bought a new house. We lived in the city. Gave birth to twins prematurely.
Oh my goodness.
And went back after work, after maternity leave, and they brought all of us into the conference room and told us we were all fired. So
not a good time.
50 people, I think, lost their jobs. So, I was in a position where, my husband had a wonderful job, thank goodness, and but I watched some of these other people scramble to, you know, pick up the pieces and get another job, and, you know, for their financial livelihoods for themselves and their families. And I thought to myself, look at all of us. We are relying on somebody to determine our value, spit us out a paycheck, and then one day decide, no, we're not going to do that anymore. So, you know, we were all there sort of, you know, making somebody else's dreams come true, and working for these entities that could, you know, at the drop of a hat say, you know, we no longer need you. I had 2 friends lose their jobs this week. So that's when I decided, and we were already doing some rental property and investment development and things like that. But that's when my husband and I really started pursuing those multiple streams of income that you hear people talk about so much.
Yes, you have to have that.
And I mentor a lot of young women in the business, and I encourage them, because this isn't a business where there's longevity, as you can imagine. So I knew that, but I also knew that we had to have those multiple streams of income, alternative streams coming in, and you know, to make sure that that would never happen again for us. And if that did happen, that, you know, we weren't struck and frozen with fear and uncertainty, which I saw in so many of my colleagues. And everybody came out great, by the way. There's a lot of us at KDKA now. A lot of us went on to pursue other entrepreneurial ventures. But we do a lot. And I do, you know, if I thought about it, we probably have 6 or 7 streams of income that are meaningful. And we learned so much.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I'm one of those people, I never stop learning. I'm always seeking to, you know, make new connections and to learn new things. And, you know, I just think knowledge is so powerful. And connections with other people are so powerful. So, you know, I think the more the better when you're looking at the ways to, you know, provide an income for your family.
Did you have any? I have had a lot of female entrepreneurs on the show.
Sure.
And myself included. We had a lot of negative self-talk when we first started. Did you have any of that? You seem so confident to people that are watching. Did you have any of that fear of, what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? Did you have any of that?
I have it today.
And if so, how do you get over that? Like, I know I'm sure there's women watching thinking, how you're so confident. How do you get over there? Or how do you push that in the back of your mind?
And that's a question that I get a lot, both from a performance aspect, like how do you just get up there and talk to people? How do you pick up a microphone and go live and make sense? Or, you know, how do you make decisions in your life, you know, without that fear? I will, and I tell people, I'm very honest with people, and that's one of the things I talk about now, because I think we need to be honest with each other, first of all. And, you know, keep in mind that I have certain skills that even if I am, like right now, if I were perhaps, you know, very nervous and talking to you, I have skills and I have ways to sort of cover that up and to mask it and to guise it.
Right.
And so I've cultivated that. I can teach people how to do that too. So I'm very honest with people, and I make decisions on a daily basis that make my heart race and say, am I doing the right thing? So I've developed a fantastic network of people, of like-minded women and men. It's fast philanthropic networking. So there is a networking component there. So all of the women that come, you know, have the opportunity to network. However, we choose 3 nonprofit organizations. One quarter we do local, 1 quarter we do national and international. So if you are a 501c3 organization, you have the opportunity to come and make a pitch, do a 5-minute pitch, tell us about your organization, tell us about your cause, and then the membership collectively votes on one of the 3 organizations, the 3 nonprofits, to receive the money. So women right there and then write out a check for $100 to whichever entity is voted upon by the membership. And so we have 65, 70 members right now. So at our last meeting in July, the organization, it was a childhood cancer organization, walked away with almost $6,500.
That's amazing. In one night.
1 night, 1 hour.
1 hour.
1 hour. Fast philanthropic networking. It's networking with a purpose. And you know, I needed something streamlined and efficient, and there was a template already in place, so it wasn't that daunting. I will tell you, it's a lot of work, but it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And to have that system already in place, and these amazing women who I have on our, you know, committee, and some of them that you know, just to get together and make a difference in a collective way, in a big way like that, is absolutely one of the most rewarding things that we've done, and we're expanding as well. There's one in the East now too.
That's wonderful. So what's next for Kim Gable?
So I've been speaking because, you know, Denise, like the one question that you asked me that I get asked the most is, how do you do what you do?
I get that asked that all the time. I tell people I speak in front of people.
So the fact that people are asking us that question means that there's a need for an answer, and that there's a need for these women to find a way to boost their confidence and get past their fears. So I think we were all born with gifts. You know, my gift isn't necessarily natural, you know, overwhelming confidence, but I have tools that women can use to sort of cultivate that confidence. So I talk a lot about overcoming your fears. I have a very personal story of something pretty profound that happened to me that I have to deal with every day, so I talk about that. But just, you know, getting women to, you know, embrace their gifts, realize that we all have value, because I think that women think that they have to have something, you know, so exceptional and earth-shattering to share. And that's why a lot of them don't ever open their mouths and talk and share what they're doing. That, you know, people do amazing little things every day and make a difference in lives every day. And we all have these gifts to share that, you know, I think all we have to do is start opening our mouths and telling people about it and sharing those gifts with each other. And I just love helping women do that. So when you say what's next, I really want to build upon that. I really do.
That's incredible. You are such a role model for everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show, Kim.
Sure,
I'm so
I could
honored.
talk to you forever.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm here with Stephanie Scaletti. She's a director of support services for the Caring Cancer Center and the founder of YACS, Young Adult Cancer Support. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you so much for being here.
Denise, thank you for having me. What an honor it is to be here.
Oh, I am so excited that you're here. I wanted to have you on for quite a while.
Thank you.
I mentioned that you're the director of support services. What is that? Can you tell us a little about your organization, the Caring Cancer Center?
Cancer Caring Center, yes.
Cancer Caring Center.
It is a hidden gem. The Cancer Caring Center has been in Pittsburgh for 30 years, believe it or not. So established in 1988. A bunch of Burger King franchise owners came together when their family members had cancer and said, we need to figure this out. We need to offer some support because there was nothing around. And so they founded the Cancer Caring Center. So it used to be called the Burger King Cancer Caring Center, and it still is, but it was interesting at the office. We would get calls of people complaining about their burgers being cold, so it was a little bit confusing, and burgers don't really associate with cancer.
Right.
But we're so blessed that they started this wonderful organization, because it truly is. It's a local charity, 501c3 nonprofit, no national office, and all the funds stay here in Pittsburgh to help our loved ones in the community. Nowadays, I say if you don't have cancer or never had it, you definitely know someone who has.
Right.
So what we do is offer all free emotional and social support services, so that cancer is expensive enough you shouldn't have to pay for your own support. What's good about our services is that they're all professionally led. So we never really have peer support led services, volunteer support services, because cancer, it has many levels of emotions and worry and unknown, and there's a whole roller coaster of emotions that come with a diagnosis, and not only does it impact the patient, but it impacts the whole family member. And I firsthand saw that experience, which we can talk about in a little bit, but it's just a wonderful organization. It's a hidden gem in Pittsburgh, and I think people don't really know about it until they need the support. But thankfully, we have services all across Allegheny County, because we know Pittsburghers don't really like to cross bridges. And so we like to offer services in all communities across Allegheny County primarily, just to make it most convenient for people to get the help that they need, so that no one has to confront cancer alone.
And I know you have a very personal story
I
that got you
do.
involved. Would you mind, would it be okay if you shared it with the audience?
Ever since I was diagnosed, I lived it as an open book. So
Okay.
it would be my pleasure.
I mean, it's so empowering to people that may be watching that has family members.
Absolutely. So when I was 20 years old, it was in 2005, I was diagnosed with leukemia. And I never had a history of any cancer in the family. It totally blindsided me. It was 2 weeks before my junior year at college. So I really just took it by surprise. So did my family. And being 20 years old, you're the youngest on the hospital patient unit. You're the youngest I had my treatment at Hillman Cancer Center, by far the youngest person there. And I was very positive even when I was diagnosed, I was making others cry because of how I was kept smiling and kept just trying to get through it as best that I could. So I really was in survival mode, fight mode, and I got through it. I had some pretty intense treatment. I'm not going to lie, I lost my hair twice, and I had pretty intense treatment for that first year. But I was on maintenance treatment for about 3 years after that. And I just lived a positive story, and I really didn't tell myself there was any other option but to survive and tell my story and to share it and inspire others. And so the more I did that, the more people started coming to me and saying, you should do some public speaking and you should share your story even more. And I had some opportunities to be a featured speaker on the University of Pittsburgh Cancer Institute galas, both in 2007 and 2010. So I got to speak in front of hundreds of people,
Wow.
really high up in UPMC facilities, and it was just truly an honor. And the more I spoke about it, the more I really knew my heart was in oncology and wanted to give back. I really didn't know what that meant, but I just knew that I had to change my major from a pharmacy major to a social work major. Now, a lot of people in the audience might be thinking that I was crazy doing that because of the income that
Big difference in income.
Big difference. I knew that coming in, I didn't care. I had to follow my heart.
What's your passion? And I can't imagine being 20 years old and hearing news like that. I mean, 20 years old, you're ready.
Yeah.
You're just beginning your life.
Exactly.
You have all these exciting things, and I can't believe I'm so happy that things worked out. And you just celebrated
Thank
a
you.
milestone with that too, didn't you?
I just, on August 24th, just recently, I celebrated 13 years cancer survivor. Yeah,
Congratulations! I'm so happy for you.
I've come a long way, but I always tell people that I'm grateful that I've been diagnosed with cancer, and they kind of look at me and scratch their head and wonder why. But it's true, because look where it led me. And so as a young adult, I saw firsthand that we experience such unique issues as young adults. We're developing still as who we want to be, who we want to become, the
Right.
families we want to create, the jobs that we want to truly get involved in. And so when I was an intern, when I was a bachelor student at Pitt, I was introduced to the Cancer Caring Center. This was in 2008, and I needed an internship. And so that's when I was introduced to the Cancer Caring Center. And at that time, I'm a 3-year survivor. And I never heard of the Cancer Caring Center. And it kind of frustrated me that I could have benefited from them, and my family really could have too,
Right.
because again, it affects everyone. So I just instantly fell in love with the mission and all that they do. We offer things like individual counseling, support groups in over 20 different locations in Pittsburgh, and wellness programs, gentle yoga, Reiki, art therapy, nutrition
wow.
classes. Yeah, we're just starting exercise classes in the fall.
That's incredible.
It's a long list, and all of it is free, like I had mentioned, but there was still a missing piece. So when I became the Director of Support Services in 2011, within that year I had an opportunity to start something for young adults, and that's when YACS, aka Young Adult Cancer Support Program, started. So having a social work background, I started leading monthly support group meetings for those basically in their 20s and 30s. We really say 18 to 39, but generally speaking, it's those in their 20s and 30s who have been diagnosed. So all different types of cancers. They would come for a support group meeting. I would get maybe 2 people in the support group meeting, then 5, then no one, and then 7. So it kind of jumped, but it continued growing over time. And I would say within the 2 years of starting it, it just kept increasing in the quantity of people coming to my support groups. And in those meetings is where I heard other issues. You know, as young adults, it's important to talk about all that's on your mind, but at the same time, they are so stuck in their lives that I thought I need to do more. And by saying that, I needed to offer uplifting social activities where they can continue living life, build the friendships and relationships that they created amongst themselves, and also see that there is hope, that they can engage in fun activities. And so that was one of the additional components that I started. And then the last piece was the financial assistance.
Which is a big piece, I'm sure.
It is so critical. These people, they are young moms. Some of them have been diagnosed when they're pregnant or breastfeeding, believe it or not. They have a family, but they can't work because they're too sick. They don't have the savings to fall back on, the investments that other adults may have. They have school loan debt, and the list just continues. So I knew that I had to start a financial assistance program, so I created an application, and they apply, they can get a grant once a year. So it started out as $100 a year, which, as you know, is quick to be spent, maybe on a grocery bill, maybe on co-pays, medical
helps.
bills, but it helps.
Right.
It's a helping hand.
It's
like
one
you
less
say.
thing you have to worry about.
It helps. So now currently it's a $300 grant that young adults can apply for and get once a year. So it really is a community. It is so inspiring to see all that has been created just from starting this program. It amazes me every day, and I truly love what I do, and I couldn't be more grateful. Again, going back to saying like how thankful that I am to have been diagnosed, because all of this might not be here had I not been diagnosed.
And look at the people that you're helping.
Absolutely. Even at the Cancer Caring Center, we help anyone impacted by cancer, all ages, all professionally led services. So, and what's most important is the funding stays local. So when, the Cancer Caring Center having no national office, we survive off of personal donations, funding grants, and fundraisers. And that's it. And so it's so important to just be recognized in the community. And I just can't thank you enough for bringing me on today and letting me share the story.
Thank you for sharing your story. And we're going to have your information up. How can
Thank
people
you.
get involved or help?
People can get involved or help by calling us at 412-622-1212, or you can visit our website at www.cancercaring.org. We're now on all social media, so Facebook and Twitter. You can find us there just by searching Cancer Caring Center. And really, just Google us. We're on there. We're live. We've been around 30 years. We're celebrating a lot this year. So we have a lot to look forward to and a lot to offer patients and their loved ones, really.
Stephanie, what's next?
What's next? Right now, I am putting all my energy and time into my fundraiser in October. It's called A Wig Out. I started this 7 years ago. This helps the young adults who are diagnosed, but it is through the Cancer Caring Center. It's a fun event, Denise. I have hundreds of people come to this event, and everyone wears a Halloween wig. There's not one person in the room. My husband, who first came to the very first one, was the only one without a wig, and he stood out. And after that, he said, never again will I come to this event without a Halloween wig.
Yeah.
The meaning behind this event, and I offer it in October because it is obviously Halloween themed. Who doesn't love Halloween? When you put on a wig, you have fun. You instantly feel like a kid again. But the meaning behind it is to recognize survivors, honor the ones that we've lost to cancer. For one night, you wear a wig on behalf of all of those who need wigs from cancer. I firsthand know what it felt like to wear a wig. I had to do it for a long time. And just for one night, people do this in honor of those who really need to wear it from treatment. I have a survivors dedication that night where I bring all the survivors up on stage and we honor them. It's we have an auction, we have food provided with the ticket, it's included, and we just celebrate all night. There's a DJ, there's a dance floor. It's a fun night. So that's what I'm working on right now. It's kind of my baby, my passion, and I put this on every year. It's an annual event this year. It's October 18th at Tequila Cowboy right on the North Shore, central location, big enough space, and we'll celebrate the whole night. So that's immediately next, but most importantly, it's just trying to fill the gaps in this city to offer support wherever it's needed. We really like to listen to the patient's needs and fill those gaps wherever we can. So
thank you so much for sharing your story.
my pleasure.
And I know people that are watching are going to be so impressed with
Thank you, Denise.
And I hope that they reach out and they help. And again, we're going to have your information. And thank you for being so strong and being an empowering woman.
My pleasure. Thank you so much in the community, too, for all your help. We just can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much, Denise.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Empowering Women. I'd like to thank my guests, Kim Gable and Stephanie Scaletti, for sharing their stories and really helping to empower the audience. I hope their stories inspired and empowered you to live your dreams. Thank you for watching and see you next time.